Welcome back, people. We have got today a 2010 Ford Mondeo 2-litre TDCi, and I think it's done about 88,000 miles, and it is in for timing belt. Yeah, we are on 88,000, well, 88,543. Now, first things first, before we get involved with this vehicle, is disconnect the battery. Negative first. Let's use the Zoomaroonie function, which is right by there on the strut tower. Once our battery is now disconnected, we can move around to the driver's side wheel arch. Because we need access through to the crank pulley, we'll remove the wheel. Now, when removing these old Ford wheel nuts, now if you haven't got these sockets by now, you need to get them. An 18.5 and a 19.5. Just because of them little shiny tin caps, a stupid design. Absolutely stupid design. And once everything's out of the way, we don't need to remove the wheel arch completely. It's just to there, and then it'll fold back around the hub. A little bit, like that. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm starting here first and not from the top, but I'm going to show you. Let me flip this camera around. Is because of that little bolt there, that little 10mm, that holds the timing cover, the upper timing cover, and it is a bit of a struggle getting it from the top. So I always like to start, when I'm doing this engine, is from the bottom, if that makes sense. And not only that, it is easier to get the alternator belt tensioner from underneath. Beautiful. Now let's move round to the top of the vehicle. Now we need to remove the engine mount out of the way to get this little bracket off, which is just at the side of the engine mount, tucked right behind it. A bit of a pain. Make sure that you're putting everything in nice neat little piles. Just remove the fuel pipes out of these little plastic clips, and then we can undo the 210s for the upper timing cover and get it off. Right, now once that timing cover is off and it is out of the way, put it somewhere safe where it's not going to get broke, fallen off, and or damaged. We need to get the engine timed up now. If I can show you, we need to get that little hole there in the gear lined up with that hole in the cylinder head. Now, what I'm going to need is a few little pins. Now, this master kit, I have had it well over 10 years, and it is from eBay, and those are saying, oh, eBay tools are crap. They're not. These have served their purpose time and time again. We're going to need that one for the camshaft, and I think one of these two for the flywheel, which I'll show you where that goes, right? Well, in a couple of minutes. Right, let's get on our crank now, 22mm, and turn it over and get them marks lined up. Now, with that camshaft lined up, what I like to do, just for reference for myself when I'm winding it over later, checking the timing, I put a green mark on the camshaft pulley and the rocker cover there. Now, the crankshaft can be 180 degrees out. Even though that pin is in, we're going to pull it back out and get the crankshaft timed up. Right, now for this next little bit, I'm going to get me lovely little, well, not little, he's massive, look at him. Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Right, what we're going to do, I'm going to get me, hang on, let me flip it round. This is just for entertainment purposes only. We need to get a timing pin in the crank up there. There is a tiny little hole behind the starter motor, which if I go on my camera, you'll see by there. Now, if Ben holds my camera for me, I'll turn the crank, and you should. Let's go down a little bit, Ben. Not a very good cameraman here. If you spin it round now, you should see it lining up. Absolutely perfect, like that. There we go. Right, now I've had to drop the vehicle back down to put this timing pin back in the camshaft. Now, if you've done everything up to this point correctly, let me zoom in. Can we zoom in? Yeah, of course we can. That pin now should slide in there. Perfect. Now we can take the car back up in the air and do everything from underneath. Right, now let's get this crank bolt off. Now, no breaker bars are going to get broke today because we're going to whack the Milwaukee straight up to number 3 and get this crank bolt off. A little bit, like that. Now that crank pulley is removed, we need to go ahead and remove the lower timing cover, but to do that, we need to pull this little magnetic pickup ring off. Don't use a pry bar, just use your fingers. Be extra careful, because if that damages or bends or twists, this car is either going to not run or it's going to run like a bag of poo. So put it somewhere safe, and then we need to also remove the crankshaft sensor. Now you have to be extra careful with these, but with the age of the vehicle, things do rust, as you can see. I took a little bit of wiggling and pokery jewering to get off. Now I have broke the little plastic locating plug that goes into the block by there, but I think we're going to be okay with it. I think I can salvage it. If not, a new crank sensor it is, but it is totally avoidable. But you do have to take this into consideration when you are doing these older vehicles. Right, now with that off and part of the way, we should be able to get that timing cover off. Put it somewhere safe, and then we go. Oh, look at that there. A little bit of stain in there from the water pump, a little bit of pink. Can you see it? That water pump has been weeping. We can do everything on these now, pretty much, underneath. Right, now I've gone ahead and I have undone the 13mm on the tension up there. Just moved it back with my finger, like so, just so the tension comes off the belt completely. And there we have it. That is one timing belt off. Now, considering the age of the vehicle, the timing belt is in good condition, and it is the original one, because we have got Formoco, Peugeot and Citroen PSA. Right, let's get this water pump off. With some 11mm. Now I'm going to need my lovely little receptacle, which is right by there. I will go and bring it over right now. Right, now with some of them 11mm removed, now I hate mess. This is why I like to catch, especially coolant, because it's awfully greasy and it doesn't dry. Well, it does in a long period of time. I'm just going to get a little pry bar now, and we're going to catch all that coolant in our receptacle. Right, now with that old water pump off, we can go ahead round and get the brand new one. Now, if you're new to my channel, I do like to fit my preferred timing belt kits are INA. The quality is just there with them. Now, before we go fitting that water pump back to the engine, what we're going to be doing is getting our 3M Scotch pad and giving that area a nice clean and making sure it looks like brand new. And we can get it torqued up to speccaroni off our information, which is 11 Newton meters. Well, with that water pump now fitted to the vehicle and all torqued up to spec, we can get the new idler, and that just slots up into the engine mount. Let's start it up with our fingers, make sure it's in correctly, and then we can go ahead and get that torqued up with all the information. It's 56 Newton meters. Right, well, I'm at a point now where I need to put the timing belt on. But before we do, we're going to get ourselves some brake and clutch cleaner, and we're going to give everything a nice cleaner-rooney down, because we don't want that coolant or any debris contaminating that new timing belt. Now, with everything cleaned down as best as I can, we put the timing belt on the crankshaft pulley with this little spring horseshoe clip that goes around the belt and the pulley to keep it all in place. Now all I need to do is drop the vehicle down and put it on the, well, route it and get it around the camshaft. Right, well, I've dropped the car down to working height now. We've routed the belt, and we've also done the tension on the belt as well. I don't know if you can see it, which is down there somewhere. I can't really show you. It is quite kind of hard to show you, but I'll show you in a little diagram. When you're putting the tension on the belt, there is a little needle that comes round and it goes in between a notch on the tensioner itself. Right, what we've got to do now is, yeah, get the bottom end built back up, and then we can turn it over. Right, now think back to when I removed the lower timing cover and the crankshaft sensor, the little plastic nipple on it snapped off. Well, I've put it back on, and the air gap between there looks pretty much bang on. Now, I'm going to put this crankshaft bolt on now, crankshaft pulley should I say, and it is, I think it's, is it, where have we gone, I can't remember, 70 Newton meters, and 60 degrees. Right, well I have now built back up the bottom end, and we've also put a brand new alternator belt on it. It's just common practice to put one of them on. Now I've spun the engine over twice, a full revolution of the engine, and the mark that I put on the crankshaft is spot on, and the mark that I put on the camshaft is spot on as well. All I've got to do now, I'm not going to bore you, I'm just going to build it all back up. What I need to do really, this is something that I have been thinking about, obviously because I don't use my GoPro anymore, I wouldn't mind trying to do a little bit of time-lapse work with it, you know, try and add it to the video of me like touching spanners and moving stuff, if that makes sense. I think it'll make a better content, but it is something that I need to look into, obviously, because I need to put music to it and all editing stuff. It's all little bits they're going to do a lot, I think. But yeah, I'm going to plod on. Right, now with a little bit of magic now, that car is all built back up together. Now we need to refill the coolant system. If you haven't seen me using this already, this is an absolute game changer for when you're doing coolant on cars. Get yourself an airline, couple it up, make sure the switch at the bottom is lying flat like that, because you don't want to be sucking air back through there. Make sure that one is fully open, because you're going to be pulling all the air out of the system, and watch the needle go up, and you just want to go into the yellow. Can you focus on that? It's so easy to use. And then once it's into the yellow, lock it off. Pretty much like that. Get everything disconnected now, and we can get some coolant. Right, let's get round to putting the new coolant back in the system. Now this pipe, I do like to prime it, like siphon it through, because we don't want any air coming through there and going into the system. And once you've done all that, it's literally get on this switch and give it a quick flick, and that pressure now will drop and it'll fill that coolant tank beautifully. Right, now once we've finished with everything, the moments of truth. Now I'm hoping that that crankshaft sensor is going to be okay. I'm going to get in the key now and give it a big start rooney and see if it starts. If it doesn't, it's only going to be that crankshaft sensor. Well, it's running. I'm quite happy with that. Beautiful. Now that I'm happy that that engine is back up and running absolutely perfect, it is also having a full service as well, all the filters and one thing and another. So I'm going to let this engine get hot, make sure all the coolant system's working as it should, and then we can take it up, drop the oil out of it while it's nice and hot. I'm going to put all the inner wheel arch and stuff back on. That is now the driver's side inner wheel arch all put back together. We've drained the oil out of it, put a brand new sump and torqued up to 25 newton meters. Now we come around the back to the fuel filter. Now while that is draining out, I've gone around the vehicle, we've given everything a bit of a shake. We've gone around the lights, let me flick it round. And we've made sure that all the steering and suspension components are good, along with the condition of the exhaust, which it doesn't look, it hasn't long been changed. Right, well I've done all I needed to do. Car's back off the road, off the ramp. I was going to say on the road, off the road then. Driver's side wheels torqued up. All the filters have been changed, apart from the oil filter because it was the wrong one. But we've just changed the pollen filter now, and it's such a horrible little job. You've got to remove the body control module. Oh, it's proper fiddly, really fiddly. I'm hoping that that oil filter is going to be here any time now. I'll tell you what, it's been a long old day. It's been a long week, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I'm flat out. And the upcoming weeks are the same. I've got so many wet belts booked in. That's it, I can see it now. Right, let's wait for this oil filter and we'll get it chucked back in. At last, the oil filter has now turned up and we've got the car back up and running. And of course, we have given all the plastics an obligatory wiped down and made it look nice and presentable. The reason why I do this is because you can't really see that timing belt that's been replaced. So at least if we make it look a little bit presentable, when the customer goes home, they're going to open their bonnet and they're going to have a little look. They're going to see at least something has been done. Well, that is me done for today. I've got a nice little 1 series coming in tomorrow for some headlamp repair. That's going to be a good video. But yeah, there you go. That is one timing belt replacement on a Mondeo 2-litre TDCi, and we are keeping these older cars on the road. So yeah, I will see you next time. Well, let's get it sent.